Tonight, I'm going to take you guys with me on a two-part video where I'm going to be taking a picture of the remnants of a dying star. But before we do that, we need to go get the telescope ready and make an observation plan. So come on with me and let's go. Allow me to give you a quick tour of the setup we will be using tonight. The main optic is going to be a Williams Optic ZenithStar 71 camera. It is the ZWO 2600mm Pro monochrome camera sitting back here with a filter wheel in between. 7 filters in here. I'm going to be talking more about what filters we've been using and why. For guiding, we have a Williams Optic UniGuide up here with the ZWO, the 12 or 120 like the monochrome guide camera sitting back here. And of course, to control everything, we have the ASIAIR Plus up here. The mount is the Meet LX73 mount that I'll be using tonight. This definitely needs an upgrade, and it's something you guys have commented on in the past. Yes, I am looking for an upgrade. I'm looking at the ZWO AM5 or AM3. They are quite expensive, but oh my god, I like those harmonic drive mounts. So I'm gonna save up for some of that at some point. This mount here, I'm got a second hand that has been upgraded with a on-step controller that you can see down here that basically allows it to be slightly better than what was on it by default. So while we wait for it to get dark, let me just explain a bit about the target we're going to be shooting tonight. The nebula is called the Veil Nebular, and it is what's called a supernova remnant. That means this thing exploded about 10 to 25,000 years ago, so around the time of the last ice age. And this massive star, about 20 times the size of our sun, or the mass of our sun should be correct, it ended the end of its life, and as part of this supernova explosion, the outer layers of the star was expelled out at extreme high velocities. And that is what's causing these supernova remnants, which is some of the most stunning objects, I think. One of the things that's really cool about this specific object is that NASA actually photographed this back in 2001 using the Hubble Space Telescope. And then they photographed it again in 2020. And because the nebula is expanding outwards after that explosion, they could actually see that the nebula has changed over that period of time. So therefore they could actually do a measurement of how quickly the nebula was expanding. This might seem like a small, insignificant thing, but in astronomy, seeing a nebula change its shape is something that's quite rare, not something we come across quite often, because it did explode relatively recently. I mean, in astronomical terms, 20,000 years is basically yesterday. The nebula itself is actually quite large, but it's just very, very dim, so we can't really see it with the naked eye. But it's divided into two distinct lobes called the Eastern and Western Veil Nebular. And that's gonna cause some issues. Okay, take a look at this. We are kinda heading into a issue here, because if we go and find our target for tonight. So here we have the Veil Nebular, where you can see we have the eastern and western lobes here. And the problem is, as you can see, it don't really fit. I mean, we could probably play around with the rotation, and maybe we could cram both of them. I mean, we could do something like that. It's a little cramped, a little more. I want a slightly wider view, but we could get both of them in there. But my plan for tonight is to do a 2-panel mosaic. That means I'm going to be shooting first one of the lobes, and then we're going to be moving over and shooting the other lobe. And we're going to make sure we have sufficient overlap between the two so that we can stitch those two pictures together later on. Now you can see here, I've just gone in to the mosaic menu here, and I think by default it sets up to 11. That's a bit much. So what we want here is basically 2 on that axis, 1 on that axis, and now we can align them up. You can see I've already set it up here. and I think the one I set up was with around 30% overlap, so it's something like that. And we set up those 2 panels, and that's what we're gonna be shooting. Probably not all of it tonight, but at least some of it. The Veil Nebula is quite luminous in both the oxygen band and in the hydrogen alpha band. And because of that, I'm actually only going to be shooting 2 colors. My plan is to do a HOO stack. That means I'm going to be only using hydrogen alpha and the oxygen 3 band, whereas normally you would also shoot the sulfur line. We're not going to do that tonight. We're just going to focus on those 2 bands. I'm doing that because I really want that high blue-red contrast in the final image. And it also allows me, of course, to spend more time in each filter because we are now only shooting 2 instead of 3 filters. So the telescope is set up, everything's polar aligned, everything seems to be connected and working. So now we can just go to my tablet and we should just be able to click go on the observation plan that we already plugged in earlier. Oh, come here guys, I gotta show you guys this, look at this. Images are now, oh there we go, it was a little bit bright. Look at that, first light coming in here. Now, I'm not gonna be able to capture all this data tonight, simply because I have 2 panels with 2 filters in each, and I'm planning to capture 4 hours of data per filter, per panel. So that gives me 16 hours of total integration time that I need to take this picture. So I'm hoping to at least get 1 filter, hopefully 2 filters in 1 panel done tonight. And it's probably gonna take a few evenings to complete this. I don't have data for both panels just yet. I just finished the first panel, but I couldn't resist just making a quick stack just to see what was there. It was a bit of a process in itself. I'm gonna cover that in more detail in the next video, so do get subscribed for that. But I just want to show you the results so far, and I really hope you're gonna enjoy it. The actual, that's the pillar, right? But the equatorial mount was still there from the pictures that I saw from this.
This is my basic setup. This is
basic.
Yeah. For me, this is the basic setup. There's my